Let me tell you something that most men get completely wrong, and it costs them some of the best women they will ever meet. When a woman starts pulling away from a man she actually likes, that man almost always assumes she is losing interest. He starts overthinking. He starts reaching out more, or he disappears entirely, both trying to protect himself. And in doing that, he destroys the exact thing that was just starting to grow. Here is the truth that nobody is telling you. A woman pulling away is not always a sign that she is done with you. Sometimes, and more often than you realize, it means the opposite. It means something about you has gotten to her. It means she felt something real, and now her brain is doing what it always does when the stakes get high. It is trying to protect her. Hey, welcome back. If you are new here, I am glad you found this video because what I am about to share with you is the kind of honest conversation women have with each other but rarely have with men. I want to change that. I genuinely believe that when men understand how women actually think, especially in those confusing early stages of connection, everything gets easier. The games stop, the miscommunication stops, and the right relationships actually have a chance to survive. So let us get into it. You have been talking to a woman. Things are going well. She is engaged. She is warm. She is clearly interested. Maybe she is texting you first, laughing at your jokes, asking you questions about your life. And then one day something shifts. She is a little slower to respond. She seems slightly distant. The energy that was so present before feels muted, and you are standing there thinking, "What did I do?" Here is what I want you to understand before we even get into the details. You probably did not do anything wrong. That is not always the case. But more often than not, the pulling away is not about a mistake you made. It is about something she is feeling. And what she is feeling is more complicated, more layered, and honestly more significant than most men ever get the chance to understand. By the end of this video, you are going to see this dynamic in a completely different light. You are going to understand why it happens, what it actually means, and most importantly, how to respond in a way that brings her closer instead of pushing her further away. Stay with me because this is the conversation you needed to have a long time ago. 1. She likes you, and that is exactly why she is running. I know that sounds backwards. Believe me, even women struggle to explain this one out loud because on the surface it makes absolutely no sense. But if you can understand this one thing, it will change how you read women forever. When a woman likes a man, genuinely likes him, not just finds him attractive, but actually starts to feel something real, something changes inside her. It is not a switch that flips neatly. It is more like a door she was not expecting to open, and suddenly she is standing in front of it wondering if she should walk through or walk away. Think about it this way. Imagine you have been let down before. Not once, not twice, but enough times that part of you has quietly decided to be careful. You built a comfortable life. You have peace, your routine, your sense of control over your own emotions. And then someone shows up and without even trying, starts chipping away at all of that. He makes you laugh when you did not feel like laughing. He says something that stays with you for 3 days. He pays attention to you in a way that makes you feel seen, and that feeling is terrifying because you know what happens when you let yourself feel seen, and it does not work out. That is where the pulling away starts. It is not boredom. It is not disinterest. It is the internal alarm system going off saying, "Slow down. This is starting to matter." Picture this. A woman has been talking to a man for about 3 weeks. Every conversation flows naturally. He checks in on her, remembers small things she mentioned, makes her feel like she is actually worth the attention. One evening, she hangs up the phone and catches herself smiling for no reason. And in that moment, it hits her how much she has started to look forward to hearing from him. And instead of leaning into that feeling, she panics. She tells herself she needs to slow down. The next day, she replies to his message 2 hours later instead of immediately. She keeps her response shorter. She starts creating a little distance, not because she wants to be away from him, but because she needs space to breathe and process how strongly she is already feeling. He notices the shift. He has no idea what changed. She does not know how to explain it without sounding irrational, and so the gap widens without either of them meaning for it to. This is one of the most common ways real connections fall apart, not because of incompatibility, not because of a deal breaker, simply because he did not understand what her pulling away actually meant, and she did not know how to communicate it in the moment. When a woman starts to create distance right around the time things are getting good, ask yourself honestly what happened just before she pulled back. Was there a moment that felt closer than usual? A conversation that went deeper? A moment where she let her guard down? That is usually where the retreat begins. And knowing that is the first step to responding in a way that actually works. 2. Her feelings are real, but her fear is louder. Right now, here is something I want you to hold on to. A woman can genuinely like you and still be terrified of liking you. These two things exist at the same time, and one does not cancel out the other. The feelings are real. The fear is real. And right now, the fear is just winning the argument in her head. Fear in relationships does not always show up dramatically. It is not always obvious. It is not always connected to some major trauma or heartbreak story. Sometimes it is just the accumulated weight of small disappointments. The man who seemed wonderful and then slowly showed his true colors. The situation that started promising and quietly faded. The feeling of being genuinely excited about someone only to have it lead nowhere. After enough of those experiences, a woman learns to slow herself down. She does not always do it consciously. It becomes automatic. So when she meets someone who actually seems worth feeling something for, that automatic brake kicks in. The fear is not about you specifically. You have not done anything wrong. The fear is about what you represent, the possibility of something real, which also means the possibility of real disappointment. What women are afraid of is not the relationship itself. What we are afraid of is how it will feel if we pour ourselves into something and it does not work. We are afraid of the version of ourselves that will show up on the other side of that loss. So, we hold back, we test the temperature before we step all the way in, and sometimes we pull back, not to reject a man, but to buy ourselves a little time to figure out whether the risk is worth taking. The thing that most men do not realize is how closely a woman is watching how he responds to her distance. That moment right there is everything. If he panics, floods her with messages, becomes needy or cold or confusing, he confirms exactly what she feared, that getting close to him will cost her something. But if he stays steady, stays warm without being desperate, and gives her space without disappearing entirely, he sends a completely different message. He tells her without words that he is safe. And that is the thing she is looking for more than anything else. Her feelings did not go anywhere when she pulled back. They are still there. They are possibly even stronger because absence has a way of clarifying what actually matters. But feelings alone are not enough to overcome fear. What overcomes fear is evidence. Evidence that you are consistent. Evidence that your character holds up under a little pressure. Evidence that she can breathe around you without everything falling apart. The next time a woman you are connected with starts to pull away, do not chase her into the distance. Do not immediately assume the worst. Just keep being the person she liked before the fear kicked in. That steadiness is more attractive than you know. 3. She is not playing games. She is not. She is protecting something. I hear men say it all the time. She is playing games. She was into me and then she backed off. She must be talking to someone else or she enjoys the attention. And I want to push back on that assumption hard because most of the time it is simply not true. When a woman pulls away, it is rarely a strategy. It is rarely calculated. She is not sitting somewhere designing a plan to keep you guessing. What she is doing is far more human than that. She is protecting herself. She is protecting the version of herself that still believes in something real, the version that can still be hurt, the version that has hope left in it. Women are wired to guard that part of themselves fiercely. It is not weakness. It is wisdom built from experience. When you have seen enough of how quickly a good thing can go wrong, you stop leaving your heart fully on the table. You start keeping a little something back just in case, just so that If it goes sideways, you are not completely shattered. That guarding does not mean she is not serious about you. It means she is. If she did not care, she would not need to protect anything. The walls only go up around something worth protecting. Think about that. There is also something important about a woman's sense of self that plays into this. When she starts to feel strongly about a man, she can begin to feel like she is losing herself a little in it. She notices she is thinking about him more than she thought she would. She catches herself rearranging her energy around him, and that feeling of losing herself even slightly is something a woman who knows her own worth will pump the brakes on, not because she wants to lose the connection, but because she refuses to lose herself in the process. That kind of pulling away is actually healthy. It is a woman with a strong sense of identity, making sure she does not dissolve into a new dynamic before she knows it is solid. She is not rejecting you, she is reclaiming her equilibrium, and a man who understands that will not take it personally. He will respect it. The mistake most men make here is interpreting her retreat as rejection and responding with either withdrawal or pressure. Both responses make it worse. Withdrawal tells her that your warmth was conditional, that as soon as she needed space, you disappeared. Pressure tells her that you do not respect her need to move at her own pace, which immediately makes you feel unsafe. The thing she needs from you in this moment is simple. She needs to see that you are not threatened by her needing a breath, that your interest in her does not evaporate the second she is not performing availability, that you can hold your ground without making her feel guilty for holding hers. That is not a game. That is just emotional maturity, and it is magnetic. 4. The moment you became too important, everything changed. There is a specific moment in almost every situation where a woman starts to pull back, and most men completely miss it. It is not the moment she stops liking you. It is the moment she realizes how much she has already started to like you. That moment, that exact shift, is where everything changes. Before that moment, things are lighter. She is enjoying the connection without fully thinking about what it might become. She is present without being fully invested. And then something happens. Maybe it is a conversation that went somewhere real. Maybe it was a small thing you did or said that stuck with her in a way she did not expect. Maybe she just woke up one morning and the first thing she thought about was you, and that surprised her. Whatever the trigger was, she became aware that you matter to her. Not just that she finds you interesting or attractive, but that she actually cares how this turns out. And caring how something turns out is a completely different emotional position than just enjoying something as it is. Once she cares about the outcome, she has skin in the game. She has something to lose. And everything that felt effortless before now comes with a quiet weight underneath it. This is when you will notice the slight shift in her energy. She might become less forthcoming. Her responses might get a little shorter or more measured. She might not initiate as much. Some women will even start pointing out your flaws to themselves. Not because she actually has a problem with you, but because her brain is trying to find a reason to care less. It is a defense mechanism. The mind trying to protect the heart from the drop it can see coming. What men need to understand is that this shift is not about them doing something wrong. It is about her doing something very human, which is trying to manage her own emotions in real time without a manual. She is not always graceful about it. She does not always handle it well. But it is coming from a place of feeling, not from indifference. This is also the point where a man's response matters enormously. If he pulls back in confusion, if he becomes uncertain or starts to act differently, because he senses the shift, he confirms her fear that the connection is fragile. If he stays consistent, keeps showing up the way he always has, does not make her distance into a crisis, she gets to see something rare. She gets to see a man whose warmth is not dependent on her constant reassurance. A man who does not fall apart the moment she needs to breathe. That kind of man is hard to find. And when a woman finds him, she comes back. Not just physically, but with everything she was holding back. The moment you became important to her was actually the highest compliment she could give you. It just does not look like one at first. 5. She pulled back because you finally made her feel something. Most women have spent years building an incredibly efficient system for keeping themselves emotionally safe. They know how to stay light. They know how to enjoy company without getting attached. They know how to keep conversations surface level just long enough to figure out if a man is worth going deeper with. It is not cold, it is practical, it is survival, and then a man comes along who breaks the pattern without even trying. He is not performing. He is not running lines. He is just genuinely himself. And something about that gets through every layer she built. And she hates it a little at first because it was not part of the plan. There is a woman who has perfected the art of keeping her options open. She dates, she meets men, she keeps things pleasant and uncommitted because she has learned that is how you protect your peace. Then she starts talking to someone and something is different. He is not trying to impress her with the usual things. He is just honest, a little funny, and quietly interested in who she actually is rather than the version she usually presents. Over time, she finds herself saying things to him she does not say to most people. She finds herself actually thinking about his opinion. And one day, it occurs to her that she is not keeping her options open with him the way she normally would. And that scares her more than she wants to admit. So she steps back. She tells herself she needs to think. She creates a little space to figure out what she is doing and whether she is making a mistake by feeling this much this soon. He has no idea any of this is happening internally. All he sees is that she is less available. And unless he understands what is really going on, he will probably handle it in a way that pushes her further away. When a woman finally feels something real, the first response is often not to lean in. It is to pause. It is to stand at the edge of the deep end and decide whether she is willing to jump. She is not rejecting you. She is just standing there longer than you expected because the water looks both warm and terrifying at the same time. This is the part where I want to be direct with you. If a woman has started to pull back after things were going well and there was no argument, no clear reason, no obvious shift in behavior on your end, there is a very good chance she is at that edge. She felt something and now she is deciding. And the way you carry yourself while she is deciding will have more influence on her final choice than anything you say. Stay grounded. Stay real. Do not perform patience while internally spiraling. Actually be steady because she can feel the difference. She will feel the difference, and it will tell her everything she needs to know. 6. What men do that makes it so much worse without realizing it. All right, I'm going to be honest with you here because this is where a lot of men are unknowingly sabotaging themselves, and most of them have no idea they are doing it. When a woman starts to pull back, the instinct for most men is to fill the space. More messages, more attention, more effort to explain or fix something they do not even fully understand. I get it. It comes from a genuine place. You do not want to lose her. You do not want her to think you do not care. But what that behavior actually communicates is anxiety. And anxiety is not attractive. It is not reassuring. It does not make her feel safe. It actually confirms the exact thing she was afraid of, which is that the connection is too fragile, that you cannot hold yourself together under a little uncertainty. The other thing men do that makes it worse is go completely cold. They decide that if she is pulling back, they will pull back harder. They stop reaching out. They become short and distant. They want her to feel what it is like to not have them available. And I understand the logic, the idea that maybe making yourself scarce will make her chase. But here is what actually happens. She reads the coldness as confirmation that you were never as solid as you seemed. She feels the relationship turn unstable, and rather than chase, she protects herself by fully stepping back. There is also a very specific behavior that men do that women almost never talk about because we do not quite have the words for it, but we all recognize it. It is the anxious consistency. When a man checks in with slightly too much frequency, not because he is naturally that way, but because he is trying to compensate for the distance he senses, the messages that feel a little calculated, a little more careful than usual, a little too deliberate. Women feel that shift. We feel when someone's communication has gone from natural to managed, and it reads as desperation even when it is coming from care. None of these responses are about bad character. They are human responses to uncertainty, but they all share the same flaw. They prioritize your anxiety over her need for space. They make the situation about your feelings instead of understanding hers. And in doing so, they push her further from you instead of giving her a reason to come back. What actually works, and I know this sounds simple, is being genuinely okay while she figures herself out. Not performing okay, actually being fine. Having your own life, your own energy, your own forward motion that is not dependent on where she is emotionally at any given moment. That does not mean you become unavailable or pretend you do not care. It means you stay warm, stay present, but you do not collapse in her direction. That kind of grounded confidence is the thing that makes a woman think, this one is different, and that thought is what brings her back. 7. The hard truth men need to hear if they want her to come back. I want to say this with care because it comes from a good place, but I also need you to hear it clearly. Some of you have been waiting for the right thing to say, the right move to make, the magic message that brings her back. And I need to tell you honestly that that is not how this works. No message is going to undo emotional distance. No clever line is going to make her feel safe if your energy is anxious or your intentions are unclear. Women are not responding to your words as much as you think they are. We are responding to the feeling behind them. We are responding to the consistency or lack of it over time. We are responding to whether you actually know who you are and are comfortable in that, or whether your sense of self shifts depending on how we respond to you. Here is the hard part. Some men pull away a woman who liked them, not because they did anything terrible, but because they were not ready for what she needed. She needed a man whose confidence was not tied to her constant validation. She needed a man who could be warm without being suffocating, present without being desperate, consistent without being controlling. And if that was not you yet, the answer is not to chase her. The answer is to become that. I also want to address something that gets swept under the rug in these conversations. Not every woman who pulls away is worth pursuing. Some women are genuinely confused and will figure themselves out. Some are testing, consciously or not, to see how you handle uncertainty, but some women are also giving you a clear message wrapped in ambiguity. Learn to tell the difference. A woman who likes you and is afraid will leave small windows open. She will still respond, still show up occasionally, still leave some warmth in the interaction, even when she is creating space. A woman who is done will not do that. She will simply not be there anymore. If she is still there, still in the orbit even while being distant, give her the thing she is actually looking for, not more attention. Security. The knowledge that you are not going to crumble if she needs a minute. The knowledge that your interest in her is rooted in genuine feeling and not just the thrill of the pursuit. The knowledge that you are a man who knows his own worth and does not need her to remind him of it constantly. That is what she is watching for when she pulls back. She is watching whether you are that man, not the man who says the right things, but the man who stays right even when things get uncertain. If you can be that man, not perform it, but actually be it, she will notice. Women always notice, and more often than you realize, that is exactly what brings us back. Here is the one thing I want to leave you with, and I mean this. The woman who pulls away from a man she genuinely likes is not punishing him. She is not being difficult. She is not confused about what she wants. She is just afraid of how much she already wants it. And that fear, as irrational as it feels from the outside, is one of the most honest things a woman can show you about how deeply she is already feeling. Most men never get to understand that. They take the distance at face value, assume the worst, and walk away from something that was right on the edge of becoming real. I do not want that to be you. You now know what is actually happening when she steps back. You know that the pulling away is not always about you doing something wrong. Sometimes it is about her feeling something so right that it scares her. And you know that the way you carry yourself during that time is the thing that will either confirm her fears or dissolve them. Now, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment and tell me, have you ever been in this situation? Did you recognize the signs or did you misread them? Did you stay or did you walk away? I read every comment and I genuinely want to know what your experience has been because these conversations matter. They help men understand women better and they help women feel less alone in the complicated ways we feel things. If this helped you see something differently today, share it with someone who needs it, and I will see you in the next one.